Hey everyone, welcome back to the series Rebuilding Schalke. Played a few games since the last video, and for the most part, they've gone well. Did have one major hiccup. We got knocked out of the cup in the second round. Our board's goal was the third round, so that is a little bit disappointing, but ultimately, we weren't really going to progress far in there anyway, so not too disappointed. But really, it was just a mistake by me. Tried to really fully rotate the squad to get some players playing time, and it just didn't work out. We were pretty even with Pepperdorn, but they managed to get the only goal. But in the league, things have gone well. Still on an unbeaten run there, which leaves us in first place. Only 5 points clear of second, but not too concerned about that. It'd be nice to win the league, but really just hoping to stay above third and get that automatic promotion spot. So 7 points clear of third right now. In terms of the squad, some good news and some bad news. Salif Sane is back. He'll probably play today. Might not be able to make it through the full match, but we'll at least get him involved. As we discussed before, he's probably our best player, definitely our best defender. Gives us a lot of options, so gives us the chance to potentially move back to the 4-2-3-1 that we started the season with because he's much stronger in the back. We really moved to the new tactic to protect that back line a little bit and probably don't need it as much with him back there. Other piece of good news I would say is Dominic Drexler. In our last match, we moved him to the left wing at one point, just as we made our substitutions, and it really worked out well. He got 2 goals for us, so that's showing us that there is the potential to get him more involved. Raskowski also has fallen off a little bit, so going back to Drexler, starting in that spot, even though he's struggled a little bit as part of that really 3-man central midfield. I think that's another probably point in favor of us eventually probably moving back to the 4-2-3-1 is allowing him to move back into his preferred position in the central attacking spot. Paulson just moves back, and then having Sine makes us stronger in the back line. The only problem with that potentially is if we do decide to loan out Sine later on to get him back into the Bundesliga. My concern with that is honestly never tried to do that in Football Manager to loan somebody out to a bigger club. So worried it would just make him angry that I was trying to get rid of him, even though really just trying to get him back into the higher league. The bad news is since our last match, Simon Terada got injured in weightlifting, so he's going to be out until the winter break. Glad right now that we brought in Joveljic. He'll take over that starting spot for now. We could move Bulter in there if we need to. We'll also be able to get Pieringer more involved. We talked about before. He's a capable player, just didn't really fit into this system. But now he'll probably get some time in that striker spot for us. And probably the only other good thing about it, obviously, I'd like to have him playing for us, especially he has been in good form, but it times well with the winter break that he'll probably be back after that. So would miss more games if we weren't getting closer to that. Today we're going to play Werder Bremen in 5th place in the league right now. They have a few injuries as well, but definitely a team that we have to be aware of. They could pose a threat to us, but I think we're going to play that one today, just the one match, and then the next video we'll play the last 2 before the winter break. So Nuremberg and Hamburger, who are contenders in the league, we'll play those 2 next match or next video. All right, so just looking at the fitness test, mostly glad to see Sané is not on there, so he'll be able to play the full match if it makes sense, which it probably should. We might get him some rest if we're in control, but not expecting this to be an easy match. Probably need him the whole way through. All right, so basically playing a mirror of ourselves here with the 4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder. Will be interesting to see if there's any differences in how the two teams are approaching that. I know they're a little bit more of a cautious team, primarily where we do try to attack from that formation, really use it to give our attacking players more freedom up front. So, as we talked about last match, I like that slow build up out of the back. We don't depend on it too much, but just being patient, building our shape, and then finding that cross field pass to really make the attack kickstart. A bit of a slow build up here. Kind of think that means this will turn into something, but it's just not the best shot there. Good job of keeping that free kick alive, and now we have to be aware on the counter and got beat a little bit there. Hopefully, now we see really able to get back in time. Not much of a threat to us, ultimately. See, I'll just pause here for a second. Really looks like we've been in control of the match. Not many highlights in the first 15 minutes, but just seeing already 6 shots, only 1 on target, and they've had more possession, but clearly so far we're doing a little bit more to use our possession, really doing it down the left-hand side. Would be interesting to see if we can get a little bit more going down the right. Bad turnover by Coulter there. At least he gets back defensively to win it back, though, and we can restart the attack. And again, really like the shapes building, maybe going backwards a little bit more than I'd like. And then that's where Goblich can really help us great in the air for us. A good replacement for Terada in that sense, and then gets the good header on net. Just not able to turn it in. Really poor free kick there, but again, and this is what I'm talking about. Just great shapes here, multiple triangles, giving Sine options, and then with these triangles, especially them only having one player pressing, ability to make the quick passes that can turn this into a threatening attack pretty quickly. See if we can get in there and go. So see if Rome continues the highlight or if that was it. So it looks like that was it. Going to encourage the team a little bit. I know sometimes when you are controlling the match a little bit, but not turning it into anything, the team will get discouraged. So just going to encourage them here. But ultimately, you can see we're continuing to dominate this match. Just need to really find a way to turn it into a goal. And that's someplace where definitely missing Terada. I have faith in Jovic, but he's not the finisher that Terada is, and Terada's been in really good form for us, so definitely missing him, but hopefully someone in that front three can take over for us. That looked offside to me, but doesn't look like it was called. Another place that Sine can help us, I think, just being that aerial threat on defensively, could turn into attacking threat going forward as well on the corners and free kicks. But even though we should be one of the better heading teams, just have struggled to deal with that in a lot of our matches. So hopefully they'll help us there. Not liking how much we're not. Hopefully we'd find a way to press them and get this back at some point, but got lucky there. That should have been turned into a goal, even though I think they called it offside. Out of possession. I'm going to try to trigger the press a little bit more. Didn't like how much we were standing off in that highlight. getting beat too much on the counter. Might try to play a little bit more narrow in the second half to try to avoid that if we can, but so far a little bit discouraged about the defensive play. Going forward, generally a lot of shots, would like to see them putting more on net, but the biggest thing is just not happy with how much we're getting beat there. So going to go to try to force them outside. I think I'm more comfortable just having them hit crosses, especially with Sané back and winning those, than I am trying to contain those passes getting through our defense. We're doing a good job of finding the channels. So. And being patient, maybe a little bit too patient in my opinion, going back too often and just really poor turnover. I feel like Sherlinov, at least in the highlights, has not played well so far, though really Luther hasn't either. And again, have to depend on our keeper to save us, not our best half so far. We'd be lucky to get out of here tied if we can hold it down. Did get the offside there, so should make it to halftime, but need a better performance in the second half. We'll look at the analytics to see. But we have been similar to the last match, definitely more offensive, but I think what we're seeing is they're allowing us to get into their end, but then beating us on the counter. That's someplace we definitely need to improve in the second half. We'll make any changes at halftime, but definitely probably not too far away from making them, just given what we saw defensively and too many turnovers on the wings. So we'd like to see Jovic doing better, but I think we really haven't seen much from the wings getting our threat continue either. We really haven't allowed them any shots, so the highlights are probably a little bit deceiving, but still don't like us getting beat down the channels as much as we have been. Let this free kick play out before we decide to make any changes. See if Drexler can recycle it here. Still have a lot in the box. See, I think just too dependent on going back to the time so far, at least in the highlights we've seen. And then doesn't turn into anything with the way they're playing that low block and just really trying to force us to find a way through. Like I said, I think we're going to make change here. Jovic hasn't played great so far. Drexler's been okay, so I think instead of making too many changes, we're moving people out of position. I think we're just going to make a straight change to Pieringer. And then we're going to push the tempo a little bit, try to avoid going backwards and playing so slow, try to put the pressure on a little bit more. Seeing this highlight even, maybe it opens us up a little bit more to make a mistake, but it was passing the ball around quicker. Hopefully can find space this way. Nice cross field pass there by Bulter. Trilinov not able to turn it in, but that was much better by us finding the way through that block. And able to win the header again. Sané doing a great job. Great to have him back for us. Makes it hard to consider loaning him. I think it's really going to depend on our ability to keep this run of form going, build ourselves a cushion, and then we can decide in January if it's worth trying to loan him out to open up some financial wiggle room to strengthen a different part of our squad, given we did have a decent rotation of center backs even before he came back. Not near his quality, but definitely strong enough for this league. Again, keeping possession well, just need to find that decisive pass to give us the opportunity. And just not able to make it through their low block, even though we generated the shot, just too much traffic to turn it on net. At least getting back able to stop the counter. Not really a great opportunity for them at all. I think it will be time now to look at, do we make another sub? And I think decent on the back line. Turnouts played well, so I don't necessarily want to take him out, but I think maybe what we'll do instead is move to the 4-2-3-1, try to get a little bit more pressure that way. Make a few changes here just to kind of keep it the way we were playing, but just change the formation to what we're familiar with, get the roles correct and everything. I think really going to be demanding here. This is the match we want to win. We've had the chances to find our way through and just haven't done it. A little bit worried about Sané getting sucked so wide there. That's not great, but it didn't turn into anything for us. Again, just got beat over the top. That's still happening way too often for us. But again, doesn't turn into anything. We just need to find a way to get our goal. Draw is not the worst thing for us, especially away from home. But we'd like to get 3 points here. Oh, off the bar. But good to see from here and there. I think what we're going to have to see is, there's definitely the case to be made that he should be the starter, that he's a little bit further along potentially in his development at this point, that bring Jovic off the bench versus the way we did it this match. See if we can get one late on, but looks like we're headed towards the draw. Hopefully we can stop this counter here and at least keep this 1 point, keep the unbeaten run going. Okay, so obviously a little bit boring match, even though, well, really no goals, but we did generate 20 shots. Just that low block definitely gave us some issues. Weren't really able to generate as much as we would have liked. Looking at the performance scores, especially on the back line, compared to when we did change formations, it looks like we performed better in the 4-2-3-1. I think probably we'll stay with that for the next few matches, given we're playing a little bit lesser opponents, and then when we come back for the next video, we'll see if we continue with that or if we go back to the 4-3-3 for some of those stronger opponents coming up. Don't want to be too hard on the team because we did create a lot of chances, just not able to get the goals. So looks like they responded well to that. Not going to be too upset about an away draw, especially against a team that is contending. Obviously some teams have games in hand, but they're in that promotion contention. We'll still be at least 3 points clear of Nuremberg after this one. We'll see how they do in their match. Then especially having some lesser opponents coming up that we should be able to pick up points from. Hopefully we can build the cushion up a little bit before we play them later on. All right, so still 14 unbeaten in the league. Doing well. Not too many complaints. Obviously, we have to figure out a way to beat low blocks like that, especially as we move forward and teams adapt to our style. But like I mentioned, when we look at the schedule, have a few matches coming up that hopefully should be easier for us. 10th and 13th in the league, and then we'll come back for Nuremberg right behind us and Hamburger in 6th. So 2 more contenders for promotion. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.